And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Consolidated Large Scale Live here with Andrew.
What'd you say? Consolidated Large Scale Live?
Large Scale
Consolidated Live. All right, let's make sure we got it right.
Yeah. See, I said that so fast you didn't know what I was saying.
Well, I was going to say, usually when I watch your videos, I put them on that like 1.5x so I can get through them a little bit faster. So.
Oh, yeah. That always works. So, welcome everybody to another edition here on MrPictovid's channel. And of course, before we get started, we're going to have a word from our sponsor.
From our sponsor?
Yeah, we have a sponsor.
Yeah, the wonderful Split Jaw Products.
The following episode of Large Scale Consolidated Live is brought to you by Split Jaw, makers of quality metal products for the G-scale modeling world. For rail clamps, expansion joints, bridges, and more, Split Jaw Products has you covered. For more information, check out their website at www.railclamp.com.
And now for our favorite time for me to introduce people in the chat. And well, we all know what's going to happen. I'm going to wreck some names as usual, but I try.
I saw more people jump in the live viewing here when you said that. I think they're ready for it.
Okay, well, that's good. I think they're actually showing up to see how many names I can wreck. All right, so we have Canadian Railroads. We got Bruce Morrill, Kyle Kuiper, and a lot of you guys were here early waiting for us, I seen. And then we have David Spencer, Dominic Maletta, and scrolling down, John Simkovich. Sorry, John, I can't ever get your name right. We'll just, what do you guys call him? The Canadian...
French Canadian.
French Canadian, yeah, there you go. And Joseph Lipinski, Timothy Kennard. And if you guys hear my voice, it's still kind of froggy from having allergies. Sorry about that. The Infinity Hobbies channel. And scrolling along here. And let's see. Manimal22. Taya's here. Taya Capital Woods.
I've been talking to Manimal a lot lately.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I think I got everybody who's in right now. So if we want to bring up our guest, we have Mike Zader, who's back with us again. Hello, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope everyone out there is doing well and healthy and everything like that. So,
are you down in your bomb shelter right now? It's a pretty nice bomb shelter.
Oh,
yeah, it's kind of a bomb shelter. When I come in here, I'm in a little bit of heaven, though.
Yeah, it's nice to have a spot where you could actually run trains when the weather isn't so good.
Even when the weather is good.
Oh.
This is true.
That's true. So you're back with us today, Mike, and you're going to talk to us today about a little bit about the large scale train show you guys are hosting in the Northeast Ohio area, and also you're going to cover some maintenance as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. The large scale show. Just a reminder to anyone who doesn't know about it, is going to be on June 25th and 26th in Warren, Ohio. It is a G-scale only train show or swap meet. There will be about 40 to 45 tables. Last year, there was a wide variety of product, lots of nice deals. Unusual to general kinds of items that were available. And there are a few tables left. They are $20 a table for the 2 days.
That's a reasonable price.
Well, doing this for the benefit of the hobby. It's not as the profit motive is not there. We just want people to come, have a good time, just meet some people, network, and this will be our second year. Last year was pretty good. We think people came, they stayed, they had a good time, met a lot of nice people. We had people from New York, Southern Michigan, Columbus, Toledo.
Wow.
The whole club from Pittsburgh came up. Erie, Buffalo. And so this year we're going to have some vendors from Virginia, New York, and mostly Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. And if somebody like wanted to sell off some of their collection, they could grab a table as well?
Yes. In fact, that's what the majority of the vendors are guys that just everyday guys that either have inventory that they're not running, or they, in my case, have too much stuff. They want to make some space for some other stuff.
Shame on you, Mike. You can never have too much stuff.
Well, that is true.
Don't talk nonsense like that.
Well, that is kind of true. I do kind of try to find some nooks and crannies to pack some more stuff into. So, but anyway, getting back to the show, I'm not sure what else we have. Security and
I got
parking.
I got scrolling on there, the club's website for people to go to, but I have the web page pulled up for the site right now, and I do see you have linked on there for local hotels, eateries, other local attractions, wineries, and breweries. So there's other stuff people can come and do as well.
And the biggest thing I'm sure people are going to have a question on, I know I would if I was watching this for the first time, is are there going to be any layouts they can visit or any running layouts?
Well, we do have a operating layout.
Oh, okay.
From our club that is in the building, and it will be up and operating.
Great.
We are trying to kind of coordinate some local layouts to be open, but we're not real sure how that's going to work out because most of the guys are going to be at the show. So we're just going to see how we can work that out.
Okay.
Nothing definitive yet, so I hesitate to make that commitment if we can't fulfill it.
Oh, I understand.
Now, I do have a few pictures from the show last year just to kind of give people a little bit of an idea of what was there. Of course, you did have a table set up. It looked like you had catalogs for Bachman, LGB, USA, Pico. I'm assuming you're going to have catalogs and stuff again this year, Mike?
The catalogs are in my front room as we speak.
Oh, I'll be by tomorrow to pick up mine then. I'm just kidding.
They're under lock and key. There's only 2 people that have them, and I'm one of them.
if people are looking for a new catalog, those are free for people to take at the show.
That is correct.
Those are free.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see here. I got a few pictures of some of the vendor stuff that was set up last year. And, one of the things I wanted to mention is you said a lot of the vendors that are selling are people, selling off their own stuff. And one of the nice things that comes from that is a lot of times you get some really great deals because,
right,
they're just looking to move some stuff. And I have to say that I ended up with several great deals at that show last year, which is how I ended up getting started buying USA 70-ton hoppers that I didn't intend to buy, but it happens.
Yeah. Well, I think that in many cases you have people that have been creative and build different things or customize. And I'll give you a great example right now.
Oh wow, those are buildings.
Oh yeah, there was all kinds of stuff there last year, and I'm expecting there to be that much more because it's 2 days this year. Oh, let's bring Mike up here in the middle real quick. Let's
Now
see.
this is a car that I will have available, and my son 3D prints them. This is the prototype, but it's an 8-axle flat car.
There we
go. So those are the kinds of unique things that you can find there.
Wow.
And
yeah, those are for heavy loads right there.
Yes. 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 And as I said, this is a prototype. So there are some refinements that are going to be made, but it's a pretty nice, unique car.
He did a good job on that.
Huh.
Yeah, it rolls very smoothly. Yeah. I was shocked.
Yeah, I've actually seen those. They're actually meant for real heavy loads. That's why they
got
the
usually transformers or some kind of oversized loads. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's the kind of thing that can be found there, or customized cars.
Yeah. But it was a pretty good size.
Like these kinds of things. This customized 2-bay covered hopper.
Oh.
MrPictovid it, make it in Conrail.
Yeah, I think that's mine, Mike. I left it there the last time I was over.
That's a nice looking one. That's a nice looking car there.
Let's see here. Hey, we have a question here, Mike.
Yes.
What's the minimum curve for the flat car that you made there?
I think that will go on a
I guess it probably gets down to 8 foot. Looking at the way you made it.
No, it'll go on something even a 4 or 5 foot.
Yeah, it looks like it'll go on a 5 foot, just like because it's got such a short wheelbase on it.
I'll show you one. The wheels. Okay, this is roughly the way it would line up, but these wheels.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Will spin.
Yep.
The only thing holding them up is the bolster there from spinning completely. But look at how tight that goes.
Now, did you say you were going to be making some of those to sell at the show, Mike?
Yes. Yes. There will be some available.
And what scale is this? Because I'm sure people are going to want to know.
It's G scale. It's probably I'm not sure exactly how you would scale it out, but
I mean, when you made it, was it particularly scaled to like 129 or 124 or?
It's probably I want to say 132, but I'll give you an idea. Let's see here.
Well, the nice thing with flat cars is the scale on them is really kind of flexible.
Yeah, it is.
Here's an MrPictovid flat car.
So that's a 40-foot Aristo. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's a good
so it's
size
a little
car.
longer. It's probably not. It's probably 132 scale, because that car would probably be at least 50 to 60 foot long, I would suppose. I haven't really measured.
Do you have any idea? And if you haven't thought about it, that's fine. But any idea what you're going to charge for those flat cars?
I do not yet.
Okay.
Because I have to talk with my son to see about how much material it takes, and with trucks, with wheels, or just how we're going to do it.
Okay.
We're going to try to make it, reasonable though.
Are you going to sell them painted or unpainted?
They will probably be both. And they'll probably be in the natural printed color. I know he's making some in red, and I think he has some in gray and black.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he has one in yellow or not.
All right.
All right.
But I was very pleased with how it came out for a prototype.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, there's some things I could probably do to enhance it a little bit, add some grab bars. But you know, for all of us, those are the kinds of things that we enjoy doing. Adding a little customization or some scratch building.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can sell like the bare car with no paint on it, let somebody finish it up even.
Right, right.
It's sort of like almost like a kit.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, but anyway, getting back to the show, those are the kinds of things that, you know, some of the older things that people have been looking for a while, or like naturally aristo-craft out of production. So you can a lot of times find some things there that you haven't been able to find. And the nice thing is, how many times have we gone to train shows and you might find somebody that has a couple of cars or a couple of pieces of track, and you go home empty-handed, where this is strictly G scale. So
yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, that's the whole motivation.
Yeah, I was even at the show and I kind of missed some of these things.
Yeah,
I start paying attention. How many total vendors did you say that there's going to be, Mike? I forget now.
You know, the actual number of vendors, I'm not so sure, because some of them
how many tables, I guess, rather than you had.
Oh,
so
yeah,
many.
I'm sorry. Between 40 and 45.
Okay. And those are 8-foot tables, right?
That is correct.
That's a lot of G scale, right? And, you know, I can honestly say last year that everybody that came through the door left happy. Like I don't think I saw too many people walking out the door that didn't buy something somewhere, or buy something a couple of times.
Yeah, well, we had a couple of guys that had their pickups, and the back ends were completely full of buildings, and he was going probably 200 miles home.
Wow.
So, and then I had to make a delivery. So, you know, so yes, I agree with you, Andy. I think most of the people that were there had a good time and enjoyed themselves.
We have a question. I just want to put a pin in it. We'll come back to it in a moment. But the Infinity Hobbies channel was asking about the slug that you were showing, but we can come back to it in a minute. I don't want to derail talking about the show yet. So
yeah,
between the three of us, one of us should be able to remember to put a pin in that and come back to that. So if we don't in the chat, just yell at us again. We'll bring it back up. But I did have a couple of pictures here of the club layout, and I got some video here. I got to find it, but I wish I had some pictures. Well, I do. I don't have them handy to show people what this layout started out as, because it was a very kind of plain green painted plywood modular layout with a double track on it. And the way this layout has been transformed is absolutely amazing. You guys have put a ton of work into really dressing the layout up. And the downtown on that is actually modeled around the actual downtown in Warren where you guys are at, correct, Mike?
Right. Our layout, we have tried to create some interesting spots that people from the area can recognize. We have a chart with, there used to be trolleys that ran through the city. So we have that map and a story about the trolleys through the city. And then the downtown area is in a work in progress, but it is modeled after Courthouse Square in Warren. And the Trumbull County Fair is, we have a circus fair area that is a reminder of that. So we've tried to incorporate some local history kinds of things.
Oh, okay.
And I must give credit to Chris Moran, God rest his soul. He passed away, what was it, about 8 months ago? But he did quite a bit of work on the layout with the scenery and those kinds of things. And when he wasn't working, he inspired many of us to do some projects that he wasn't able to do. So I have to give him credit for that. And sadly, he passed away.
Yeah, he put a lot of time and work into that. Let's see here. Here we go. I was just looking for a video here I could pull up and show. Let's see here. Give me one moment here, Mike.
Okay.
I have to grab it from my channel here.
This layout, is this battery powered or is it transformer powered? Both?
Our layout, you can run either battery power or track power.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, let's see here. Just have to remove that and share the other one.
Am I supposed to be saying anything? Okay.
You're doing great, Mike. Just keep looking pretty. I'm just kidding. You know, Sean and I aren't much to look at, so we're glad you're here to fill in for the gaps. Let's see.
So as a club, how often do you guys meet to run on that layout?
We meet once a week, but we have members. The building is a senior citizen center, so the building itself is open all week from 8:30 to 4:30. So we have members that go in when the club doesn't meet and can run their trains. So that's what's nice about it. What's nice about it also is the fact that we can be warm in the winter and be cool in the summer. And there are no weeds and there's no bending over to pick things up and repair things. And it's actually been a nice transformation.
I was going to say, but with the layout you have now, like 3/4 of your spring maintenance list, we can just toss out the window, right? We don't have to worry about leaves or anything on this layout.
Right. Or animals or.
Although the one problem I have noticed is it can get quite congested with trains at times. If too many trains is the only problem you have, it's a great problem.
Yes, it is.
John was asking if you guys allow live stream on this layout.
I would imagine that the senior center might have an issue with that.
Now, what the senior center doesn't know doesn't hurt them. Because we had a Mike's Train House big boy.
Yeah, it's up right now, running, filling the room with smoke on the video.
Yeah, and we did have a few of the building maintenance people run down there to see if there was a fire in the building, but nobody stopped us, so we just.
Gem State Railroad says if it's congested, then it's prototypical.
Yeah, we've had a few of those Adam family adventures.
But yeah, anybody that comes to the show, obviously you're going to have the club layout operating both days. Lots of trains running on there. So I mean, there's more than just buying trains. You can come and enjoy the layout as well.
Right, and we will have a concession stand within the show.
Speaking of 70-ton hoppers that I bought that I didn't need, that's what this train is going by right now. All the hoppers I didn't need that I ended up with last year.
We have a couple of younger members that are like 13 years old, 13 and 14. And when they
nice.
come, they put every car that they can get their hands on the layout. And I think they just try to see how long of trains they can pull.
I think some of the grown-up members do that too, though.
If we can.
But no, let's see. What was I going to say? It was there and it just ran away with me.
Happens to me all the time.
I was going to ask you, when we were looking earlier, there's some hotels that are actually really close to, there's one right in downtown, I believe, correct? Is there like a Best Western right there in downtown, Warren?
Yeah, there is one right downtown, probably about 2 blocks away from the show. But there are also some hotels that are really not that far away. And if people are coming in and perhaps bringing their partners, wives, whatever, girlfriends, anyway, or boyfriends, I don't know. There are a lot of hotels out by the mall, which would be an interesting for anyone who's not attending the show that, perhaps could do some shopping or whatever. There's Holiday Inn, there's Fairfield, there's actually a Days Inn that's not that far away.
So there's plenty of options then for people.
Right. There's a Red Roof, and
the thing is, the show's till 4:00 on Saturday and Sunday, right?
That is correct.
So if you're coming and staying over and the show's done at 4, you got plenty of time to go and find yourself a nice dinner.
Right. And there are a lot of nice restaurants in the area.
I'm watching this video and I see a New Jersey state trooper car. I'm wondering how that ended up in Ohio.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
Probably Hot Pursuit.
Oh, got an ad popping up there.
Ad? We don't.
I'm looking. I'm like, what is that on the screen? That's what happens when I play my videos from my YouTube channel. But let's see. Is there anything else that we needed to say about the show, Mike? Actually, anybody watching, do you have any questions about the show coming up?
I haven't seen any questions yet.
We must be giving them all the info they need so far.
Oh, and admissions is $5.
I really don't see that as a big problem, to be honest with you.
No,
$5 is pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's within the, range of.
In the grand scheme of things, the club really isn't making any money off of this. You guys are putting more time and effort into it than you're getting out of it.
Well, we also make we're not in it to make a ton of money, because not only we cover our expenses and then we make a donation to the senior center because they allow us to have our train there. So we, want to help them a little bit too.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely. All right. I tell you what, before we forget, you want to talk about the slug that you had there that the Infinity Hobbies channel was asking about, Mike?
Sure. Basically, this was a Lionel GP9 that was cut down, and it's a little rough. I did okay. It could add some, things like air hoses and things like
Now,
that.
is that thinking about? Oh, you got lights in it. Sweet.
Yeah, there's a like a 9-volt battery in there on
So
off switch.
are there motors in that, or is that unpowered?
It is unpowered.
The only reason I was asking is I remember on the Lionel GP9s, the motors were all vertical, and I was curious if there was still room in there for them or not.
Oh yeah, there's room for them, but I took them out.
So
Yeah.
when you made that, for the most part, was it just cutting the top off and cutting out and dropping it down, or did you have to do
Yeah.
anything special in regards to that?
No, didn't do anything special. It's really just kind of rough, to be honest with you.
But you know what though? I mean, how many other people do you see running a slug on their layout? You know what I mean?
Well, the yard slug, the other unit is getting a remote control put in it as we speak.
Oh,
So it's a GP30 CSX GP30 with the same paint scheme.
now what control system are you putting in the GP30, Mike?
I use Loco Link with the new controller, and the reason for that is kind of bought a collection many years ago that had about 10 engines equipped with the Loco Link, and so I just kind of built upon that. So that's why I use Loco Link, and I haven't had any problems with it. In fact, they came out with a new controller with a greater range, and it's very simple to use, and because I'm a simple guy, and so it works out well for me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right. And
Well, whatever works for you.
I think for those who are new, because sometimes we forget, we have people who are just getting into the hobby or even new to trains that come on to the show, but they might not be familiar with the term slug. A lot of us are on here, but I always like to point out, okay, what does slug mean? So a slug is basically a locomotive that has no cab and has no prime movers. It just has the traction motors in there. And
Right.
So
And
it's just it's just meant to help another locomotive unit, just adding extra traction motors to another
And
unit.
usually slugs are for yard service and that, because they're not
Yeah.
really they're really not getting up to any great speed on the main locomotive, so they're able to siphon off some of that juice for the traction motors on that. Correct?
right. And in many cases, they're actually remotely controlled.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that
Mhm.
part of it for anybody who's not familiar as a term with slug.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. I should have probably.
Well, no,
pointed
I
that-
honestly I don't even think about it either. You said slug, and my mind automatically went to what it was, but yeah, a lot of people may not know. And which, keep in mind too, some people may have seen like the cabless GP9B units, which are different from that because those are actually a full locomotive for the most part, minus a cab.
Yeah, they actually have a B unit has a prime engine or prime mover engine in it, or basically it's powered. So yeah, a B unit is actually different than what a slug is.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, was there something else other than it kind of looked like a slug, but it was a different function? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, my mind's reaching a blank on that one myself, but
Yeah. I was curious if you could think of it or not, but I thought there was something else out there too, because I got the two confused at one time.
I wish I would have had the road slug, but maybe in the future, down the road.
That's all right. I'm not going to fault you for it, Mike.
I have enough other faults.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, did we want to talk about spring cleaning?
Sure. I'm gonna talk about what I'm going to do in the preparation of my spring and summer running. And Andrew, did you put the checklist on your website?
It's not on my website, but I'm going to put it up on the screen here.
Okay.
I can get it up on the website in the near future here. I just didn't have a chance to get to it yet. Let's see here.
Well, I'm a kind of a methodical kind of creature that I use checklists a lot to, do whatever kinds of projects and steps in order to accomplish something. So I kind of created this checklist. Probably most of you, if you have outdoor layouts, have already, you know a lot of this. So I hope it's not boring or redundant, but maybe it will remind you to do something that maybe you forgot about, or to think about, or make your layout a little bit better. But as far as spring preparation, I don't, it's pretty common sense that the first thing that we got to do is probably remove some leaves that have been blown around and accumulated in the corners or in tunnels, or around shrubbery. And if you have a true garden railroad, there might be some flowers that you have to remove or have been spent and you have to replace. I use a little Black & Decker blower that I bought, and I meant to have it here, and I forgot to bring it down. It's a little battery powered blower, because when I use my steel gas blower, it has a tendency to blow the ballast all over the place.
Yeah, I got myself a battery one. I tried using my corded one, and I was blowing gravel out in the yard. Too much.
Gravel all over the place, or if you have buildings already set out, knock buildings over. So I got this little battery powered Black & Decker blower, and it's so nice because it's light, and I can move it around different shrubs and wherever I need to, and yet it's powerful enough to blow leaves, but yet not powerful enough to blow the gravel all over the place unless I stick it right down in there. And the other thing I do with the leaves, I do vacuum them up with my handheld blower, but you have to be careful because you suck up a lot of the ballast. So you have to be careful on how to use that.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you ended up getting any of the gravel when you did that or not, because I've wondered about that myself, and I've always been afraid I'm going to end up pulling up gravel with it.
Oh yeah, so you have to be careful, like on how close you get to the track, or to the ground, and because it will suck up the gravel. And I use number 8 limestone as my ballast, so yeah, it'll suck it up. So you have to be kind of careful with that. So you have to remove the leaves, remove sticks, any other debris that is blown onto it or fallen on it. So naturally stands to reason. I have found that over time, the thicker ballast I have, as far as 4 to 5 inches, the less heaving that I have had over the winter time. But it is a problem. You might have places that the track raises or dips that will have to be reballasted and straightened out. That all has to be done before you can to get going. And then weeds.
Yeah, weeds.
Those buggers are everywhere.
I was I had a picture here I was going to throw up.
Andrew's got artificial turf. You don't worry about weeds.
Yeah, I'm working on eliminating the weeds, but
I think that if you put artificial turf, the weeds would find their way through it.
I think eventually, but
now naturally weeds, you can pull them. Some people spray their layouts, other people don't, because of They don't want to put chemicals either around themselves or around children or grandchildren or pets. And so they don't want to use chemicals. Although I do know some people that will use either vinegar or a vinegar mixture,
Yep.
but I spray them because I just don't want them. And then a lot of times I'll sprinkle preen on the ballast, kind of thick.
Does
And,
preen work for you, Mike? I was actually wondering about that today myself.
I use it. I've had luck with it. Now, is it going to eliminate every weed? Nope.
Now,
Because
I know you can't see it probably. I just put a picture up there, but do you have to deal with those crazy helicopters getting on your layout from the tree?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
because-
those things like infest my layout every year,
right.
Yeah.
and
What a
I try.
mess.
Well, I got that. There's pine needles on the backside. I mean, it turns into a whole disaster area.
Yeah,
Looks like a tornado hit it.
Yeah, it was.
That's why you have that light blower, because they get everywhere from the maple trees. Yeah,
Yeah. I was looking at them on the tree. I mean, it's like I got a picture of it. It's like looking at the tree. It's like a bunch of bombs hanging there waiting to
Wow.
land on your layout. It's like, good grief. I love the
I
tree.
have maple trees, but I've never gotten to see that bad before.
I think it's just me. It likes tormenting me. You
I
know,
know.
like, hey,
I-
let's see
I
how
get
many
it
of these. Let's see how many we can drop on Andrew's layout.
well, something in your previous life you did that you're getting payback.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. You make a good point.
Hey, just for those of you who have some cribbing on your layout, which I do. I don't know if you can see this, but this is cribbing, wooden cribbing. But you can see part of this has washed out, so naturally that will have to be backfilled and packed in there. And I'm trying to think of some vegetation that I could plant in there that will kind of eliminate that erosion. Something like perhaps phlox or a ground cover of some kind that is not so invasive.
Kind of like a sedum or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Sedum is a possibility too. So I got to figure out something, because year after year, it seems like I have to do that. So those tall things in there, those are blue fescue. They won't get much taller than that. And I just take a scissors and cut them back. And it's a nice blue kind of appearance.
I wish I could remember what the heck the name of the grass is I planted on my layout, but it's brown all the time. And all I ever hear from Sean is he tells me to pull it out. It's dead. And I'm like, it's not dead. That's what it looks like.
Like you would plant dead grass.
But it's not. I wish I could remember what the heck it's called. It's not dead.
It's probably a purple, I forget the name of it now, but it's purple something.
Yeah, I'll have to show you a picture of it sometime, but Sean always gives me a hard time about it.
Something else that you may have to repair. This is a picture of the corner of my layout that I went by. It started to kind of lean out, and I went by on the lawnmower and it caught the grass catcher and pulled a bunch of it down. But nonetheless, it has to be repaired because it was leaning out anyway. So what I'm going to have to do is pull back I used pea gravel. I got away from mulch because the mulch washes everywhere. So I started pea gravel instead. And so I'll have to pull back all the pea gravel, pull back some of that soil, probably put a drain tube in the wall, because that's why that wall is leaning out, because there's water pressure build up again on the back side of it, even though I did put gravel in there.
I'm noticing the same thing that you did with the mulch. Like the wind blows or the rain and it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I went and got some ballast the other day, and when I was at the gravel place, they had some really nice, like, it was finer, like kind of like pea gravel, but it was like a dark kind of red color, almost looked like mulch. The only thing is, I think it was like $90 a ton. It seemed a little bit pricey, but the more I think about it, though, is the mulch, like, it breaks down, it rots eventually. The stone is not going to go anywhere, well, unless I hit it with the weed whacker or something. It goes out in the yard, but I'm really starting to get that thought process of what can I do that doesn't require me to come back and redo this later.
Yeah, I did that a couple years ago, and I was very pleased that I did. But there are still areas that are, just soil, because they do have some flowers and plants in there. So can't get away from that, I guess. But anyway, if you have, getting back to our topic, if you have shrubs on your layout, they might need trimmed or removed. And if you're going to plant some flowers, then, you need to, naturally, you're going to do that. Replace some things. Okay, so that's the physical environment. It's not too hard to figure out. You got junk on the layout that has to be removed. The biggest problem is the weeds, and I don't care what you do. You put weed barrier down, they find their way.
Yeah, they seem to grow through the weed barrier, because when I go and pull them, there's like that the roots and everything are on the other side, and they rip through it. The weed barrier works great for about a year, and then that's it.
Yeah, well, and the seeds will get into your ballast and stuff like that and grow, on top of the weed barrier. But I've seen dandelions go through blacktop, so,
I'll tell you what, dandelions grow just about anywhere. I'm surprised Sean doesn't have them on his O-gauge layout there.
Okay, I'm going to switch from the physical environment, and I want to talk about the track. Because once you get the physical environment in shape, then you got to think about the track. If you need to straighten areas, make sure that it's level, of course. Check all the joints and connections, whether you have rail clamps or joiners. Make sure that they're all nice and tight, because that's going to affect your continuity if you have track power. You have to clean the track if you have brass. I have stainless, and that's the reason why. Let's see here. Make sure it's all level connections, straighten where you need to. Switches. Here's an example of the problems that you may encounter. First of all, this switch, the tie broke right there, and so you see the whole mechanism shifts. So this has to be repaired. I'm going to take some epoxy and reinforce this and glue that in so it doesn't shift around. But more importantly, there's a little spring in there that when that weakens over time and you flip your arm, your switch doesn't work. So I have seen people that will take that little spring and make their own out of paper clip.
Okay.
That usually works pretty good, and that will strengthen your spring. But also on these tracks with your ballast and fines, what a real fine ballast or real fine stone are called fines.
Yeah.
They will get in your track, and so you can't open or close your switches. So that all has to be checked. So you need to take like a little screwdriver, just make sure that those are clear. Okay, so that's a switch, or switches. Got to make sure that they're ready to go, and your track surface is clean so that there's good contact with your engines.
Something I wanted to mention, since that was an Aristo switch you had in your hand,
yes,
I've seen some people run into some electrical issues with those because underneath on the bottom under the frog, they have those jumper wires in there to bridge across the frog to the other side. And
Right.
I've seen where like those little screws in there get loose and it kind of builds up resistance in there. So that's something people might want to check if they're running track power and they notice that after they pass through the switch, the train kind of slows down and it's running slower. You might have one of those wires loose underneath there.
Right. Well, when it comes to switches and electric, I just have never had much luck with reliability, so I usually just flip my switches manually.
Well, I wasn't saying so much as far as electrically throwing the switches. I'm actually talking for track power as far as those wires that are under that frog that,
Right,
that
right.
bridge that area. Yeah.
right.
But yeah, as far as electrically powered switches, I have no desire to do that on my layout. That just seems like way too much effort.
For those of you who might need a visual picture, there's some wires here.
Yeah, there's what 4
Where are they?
screws or
Okay.
so that come off of there.
See how there's one here and then there's one over here. They're very difficult to see. And to be honest with you, I would probably replace those because that looks like they're just old.
They're not a very heavy gauge wire in the least.
And it doesn't look like it's a very conductive wire. So I generally don't worry about that too much because I run battery power. And
I mean, there is a benefit to battery power. You don't got to worry about all that. I keep telling Sean he needs to go battery power, but he won't do it.
Battery power to me is the only way to go because, you take your engine out there, you put it on the track and it runs. You don't have to worry about cleaning as long as you don't have any sticks. And, your connections are all good and it's nice and smooth and you're not going to have any issues. Whereas with electric, it seems like there's always something someplace somewhere. Then you got to track it down. But that's another story for another day.
And it's funny. There's a guy here who has an outdoor G-scale layout, and his constant problem is where he lives at. It seems like the ground is forever sinking. So every year he's got to get. He complains all the time because every year so far he gets like 6 tons of stone delivered to his house.
So it's not that he's having heaving problems; it's the ground is sinking.
Sinking, yeah, every year. And he's had this layout up for quite some time, and every year he's got to add. He says you would think that sooner or later that it would settle and that would be it. He goes, it's like a never-ending thing. It just keeps it's all leveled out, and then winter comes and spring and the rain and stuff, and next thing he knows, he's got to add another 6 tons of.
What's the soil composition like in New Jersey there, Sean? Like here in Ohio, we have a lot of clay in the soil.
I mean, we're right there. We're right here on the shore and stuff, and where he's, and water raised. So we're right there with the sea level. But we have a lot of that orange. Yeah, we have orange clay here too. But where he lives at in particular, I don't know if there's something soft underneath there, but the ground where he's at is forever just
interesting.
Yeah, it just seems like it's like a magnet. It just pulls his pulls his stonework down, and then he's got to buy more and a lot of it. When you're buying 4 or 6 tons of stone every year, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I have to.
It's a lot of stone.
What's that?
It's a lot of stone.
Oh yeah. He's got a big layout.
I think I would worry about my house rather than the layout. What's happening with the rest of his property? I mean,
yeah, really, that's kind of a good question, I guess.
I mean, it seems like where the house is at, it's like on a slight, I wouldn't say a big hill, but like a little slight hill. And then where the layout at is, down that hill and in this one area, and that's where the problem seems to be. I mean, he's got another garden off which he keeps separate of the G scale layout. But yeah, it's just seems to be in that one area that he has problems with, like almost like maybe there's an underground river or something, which we do.
Well, could be a spring or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get back to what we're talking about here. Okay, once you get the physical environment in shape and you have your track in shape, some of you will have buildings and some of you won't. My layout when I first built it, I thought I'm not going to have a building on there. I'm just going to put trains out there, run, drink beer. Well, I visited layouts and I saw how nice they were, and pretty soon I had 50 buildings. So,
jeez,
you start building like a little town where you have houses. So anyway, this is an example of what could happen to a building or what needs to be done. This particular building, you can see the damage that was caused over time. That needs to be repaired. Naturally, the building needs to be brushed off and cleaned. And then there's another window back here that needs to be repaired, rebuilt and repaired.
Not to derail you there, Mike, but I have to ask, is that building a kit that came that way, or is that something you customized?
This building was built by a guy this building is actually wood.
Oh,
this
okay.
building was built in Philadelphia by a guy. It was scratch built.
That's a very nice switch tower.
Yeah, it is. Excuse me for a moment. Sorry.
No worries.
Anyway, it has a platform where, if I wanted to stand some people up or something, I could. But the sides are plywood with wooden siding, laminate, just glued on. You can see the construction there.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I don't want to get off topic.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask real quick.
These things need to be washed or brushed and cleaned, and of course, repairs. Almost every building will need to have some kind of cleaning or repair.
Yeah, something falls off of mine every year, so in the springtime, it's time to glue everything again.
Right, or paint, or whatever needs to be done.
Just a quick question. I'm sure a couple other people are going to have on the building maintenance itself, especially with the wood. Do you guys do anything in particular to keep the bugs out, like ants and spiders and stuff, from eating it up, or
I don't really have any problems with damage done by insects. I mean, they get in there and everything, but they're not like termites that eat it or anything.
Yeah, because I think I also heard people complain about sometimes that bees will even move into them.
Oh yeah, well, bees will, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you got to make sure you keep that stuff kind of sealed up, or you'll have bees or yellow jackets building nests in them.
Yeah. And I myself, I put cement pads down, like air conditioning pads, 2-inch thick concrete. I put those down, and then I put my buildings on top of them.
Oh, okay.
Keeps them nice and level. That kind of thing. And if you paint them, make sure that you use UV protected paint. So, or else you just keep doing it year after year.
Right. Okay.
So lastly, once you get all your buildings in shape, and that can take some time depending on how many buildings you have, just cleaning them, by the time you've prepared your environment, get your track all set, you have your buildings, now you have to come to your trains. Naturally, you want to test your engines, make sure that they're all in operating condition, lubricate them. Most of the time, there are two things that I've used: white lithium grease or the LGB lubricant. Comes in a jar. In the old days, that's what I used to use.
Real quick, Mike, I want just real quick, I want to recognize our friend Heath from Humanity Junction. Just put up a $2 super chat for us. I highly appreciate it. And is a hot dog a sandwich, Heath? I think we determined that before, but we'll leave that open for debate. Thank you very much, Heath. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so you want to, make sure that your couplers are functioning, open, close. Even if you use hook and loop, you want to make sure that that spring is working properly on your hook so that, it's not just falling down and, naturally you won't be hooked anymore. Your batteries or radio controller or your electrical continuity, conductivity, all those kinds of things. Your cars probably need to be brushed off or cleaned, depending on where and how you store them. And your squeaky wheels. And I have a train car that naturally it's not squeaky now, but most of the time, there it goes. Most of the time when I roll it, it squeaks, and after a while, it drives you crazy. So I usually use the good old standard Labelle oil. I find it to be the best thing. It doesn't harm plastic, and it's thick enough that it works properly, whereas something like sewing machine oil is a little bit too thin. So it's a good old standard thing that I use for my things. And I have some cars that I have to lubricate here. Yeah, and then you should be ready to go.
Not to backpedal on you, Mike, but we did have a question from John. He was asking, what kind of glues do you use for your buildings? Do you use anything specific, or you got kind of an arsenal of adhesives?
Yes, I have an arsenal of adhesive, depending on what I'm gluing. Okay. For example, I have a silo for my grain towers that I built out of PVC pipe. You've seen it, Andrew.
Yes.
And I have found that this glue, it's PVC vinyl glue. So I use this glue on things that are PVC and plastic. And this happens to be a white one. They do make it clear, but I have found it to be, it's actually fence glue.
Okay.
That's where you'll find it if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's. It'll be in the fencing department. And I think it works very well for those things. For wood, a lot of times I'll just use liquid nails. I have a lot of Colorado model buildings, which are the plastic ones. I use Omni Stick. Yeah, please. If you can find it, it's called Omni Stick. A lot of people use E6000, but I like the Omni Stick better. Just seems, that's my preference. It's worked very well for me, and it's you can use it for all kinds of mediums, and for just general purposes, anybody out there who's gluing whatever to whatever, there's a site called This to That, and that's all it does is talk about if you're gluing something to glass, if you're gluing metals, if you're gluing plastics, if you're gluing wood to plastic, whatever. That's what it's called. This to that. And sometimes I'll go to that and use that as a quick reference to what kind of glue I want to use. Paper to wood,
Okay.
you know, all kinds of things like that. It's been very helpful to me. Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna turn a train on. I meant to have it running while I was talking, but slipped my mind.
If it was running, we probably wouldn't pay attention. We'd be like that dog in the movie Up yelling squirrel, you know,
I
like,
don't know if I really
what?
said the thing that you wanted to know anyway, but now please don't pay attention, everybody, to my junk, because there's a lot of it around.
Mike, I got to say your basement looks pretty organized compared to most I've seen.
Well, I don't know. There might be homeless people living in here somewhere. I don't even know.
Wow.
I'm not going to turn them all on because it'll drive you crazy. But there's a nice custom chassis caboose that you might like, especially if you're a chassis person.
You know, what I really like about our friend Heath asked, buy junk, is he referring to the wall of LGB boxes? Probably not.
No, that's not part of the junk.
But he does have an N gauge layout that Heath would be interested in.
Uh-oh. Mike does it all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wonderful N gauge layout he did.
Yeah, that's the fun thing too, is, you know, a lot of us that are in the G scale do dabble in other scales as well.
Yeah.
Well, the N scale layout is kind of apart because I'm going to build a steel mill in a coke plant.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of dismantled right now.
You know, what I love about this G scale layout that you have inside, Mike, is you really kind of like made it fit the area. It kind of wraps around and underneath your stairs and stuff. I mean, and I think it's right on this curve where you're at right now. I've got a video I think I took when I was at your place one time, and there was a spot right before that the car would like hop off the track every time, and then about 3-4 sections down, just like snapping your fingers, it'd hop right back on the track. So I remember at the time I asked you, like, did you design it to do that? Because it just seems to be so consistent.
Be consistent.
No, it wasn't by design, but it seems like it cured itself or something. I don't know.
I like Heath's comment. He says, if I had the room, I'm imagining my basement would look similar.
Yeah, but there is no basements in New York. If you try to build a basement, you'll be in their subway.
Yeah. Yeah, the way Mike did his layout, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff packed into the space that he has there.
I see that, and there's all kinds of figures and structures and houses and stuff. I like these scenes that he's created. I mean, it would be too much work to put this outside and have to take it down every time. You know, but you know, it's nice to see those kind of details being put into a G scale layout like this. I like that that structure that they're actually. It looks like somebody's building a house there. That's pretty nice.
You know, and I'm trying to think, that was actually a kit that was made that way. I don't know if it was Pola or who did that, but I remember seeing that years ago.
Yeah. Very nice.
Now, as I was looking at that, Mike, do you actually have a reversing loop on that end of the layout?
Reversing loop. No.
Okay. I was looking at your switches. I wasn't sure.
No. Oh, on my G scale or N scale?
On the G scale.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I do. I have actually two. I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear your question.
That's all right.
I'm sorry this basement is such a mess.
You know, I kind of feel like you're my mother when, you know, people would come over to the house and she'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, the house is a wreck. I haven't cleaned in a week." And it's like there was barely a light film of dust on the immaculate house. Like,
No.
I think your basement looks wonderful, Mike. I'd move into it any day.
That's like a model train person's dream to move into a basement like that.
You're being way too kind.
No, really. I mean, if I had a basement, I'd be happy with it looking like that.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I got a concrete slab underneath of me. Unless there's a hidden basement I haven't found yet, but you know, I haven't.
You mean to tell me they don't have basements in Ohio either?
No, they do. I just didn't want to pay for it.
Oh.
No, at the time I was starting out, Sean, and I looked at the cost of buying a house with a basement and without a basement, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go without the basement. But had I not made that decision, I wouldn't be in G scale right now, because I wouldn't have said, you know, I got a backyard I can put trains in. Let's go out there. I would have probably had an HO layout in the basement.
Well, does anybody have any questions?
Well, Heath does, but I'm going to direct Heath back to when you were on the show before for answers to that. Heath was asking how you got into G scale and why G scale. Do you prefer G or N? Well, actually, as far as how you got into G scale, I'll refer Heath back to the prior time you were on, but I guess we could tackle the do you prefer G or N scale question. We'll at least give in to Heath's questions a little bit.
Well, they both have advantages and disadvantages. The G scale is so large and they take up so much room, and in many cases there are not products that are available that you find in other scales. So that's a disadvantage. But the disadvantage to N scale is it's not getting any younger. It's it's kind of difficult sometimes to work on it. But I mean, I still do okay, but I don't know how much longer. But on the other hand, I would never be able to build a coke plant and a steel mill in G scale.
Well, you could, but it might take some real estate and material.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. We went on to Larry Caniff's steel mill, which was inside, and his ceilings were 9 feet tall, and his blast furnace was touching the ceiling. And
I've got a video of that on my channel too. That was a pretty impressive layout. That was like the second floor of a building in downtown Steubenville, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, that took up some space. But the thing is, if the way his layout was, if that was outside, could you imagine the amount of maintenance going into trying to keep that clean and everything? I mean,
well, that's what happened. He originally had it outside.
Oh, he did. I didn't realize that.
Yes, he had it outside. In fact, the steel mill modelers visited that layout when he had it outside at one of their conventions. But when we were down there, I asked Larry why he had moved it inside, and that was the reason. He was tired of the maintenance and tired of animals destroying just their movement through it would cause a lot of damage. So,
Yeah, our friend John says you'll need 6+ foot high ceilings.
Yeah.
6 foot, higher than 6 foot, I imagine, for that.
For what?
So, when you were talking about the blast furnace and all of that.
Oh, for G scale?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when I was there. It was what, I guess those were taller than standard ceilings that he had in that space.
Oh yeah, I think he had 9-foot ceilings.
By the way, the Infinity Hobbies channel asked if they can hire you to organize their basement because it looks so neat.
Oh, that's very kind of them.
Unfortunately, we won't be doing basement makeovers by Mike.
but I will show you my parts thing.
Oh, good grief! I thought I had a collection of parts. I guess not compared to what you got there.
Oh, you know what that means? I've been in it a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that you seem to notice. I notice the longer that I'm in this, the more things that you acquire.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to get more storage space in my house, but someone recently said, maybe you just need a bigger house. And I'm like, maybe. And it's like, well, heck, I'm trying to expand my layout right now. Moving is way too much work. I think I'll just, see how far I can push storing the trains in the dining room before the wife throws me out.
Hey, Andrew.
Yo.
I think that I have talked long enough, and people are quite tired of hearing me.
No, we're never tired of
worth,
hearing you.
I don't know if I've said anything worth hearing. So well, I am gonna bug out. Okay.
All right, no worries. Thanks for coming on with us, Mike, and going over everything with us. And I think everybody enjoyed what we went over. I mean, I didn't see anybody dropping out of the live stream, or I didn't see a ton of questions, but I think you were explaining everything quite well. So we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to share with us.
Yes.
Well, I hope to, as I was telling you before, I hope to, come up with a few more ideas and maybe jump on again sometime.
Okay. Absolutely. And, of course, one last time before you go, the camera just went sideways.
We're out.
But make sure you go to the riversiderr.org website to get more info on the upcoming Northeast Ohio Large Scale show. And of course, if you'd like to talk to Mike, make sure you go to the show because he'll be there and he'll gladly talk your ear off.
All right. Sounds
All
good.
right. So let's see it. I think, did Mike already drop off on us? Are you still there, Mike?
Looks like he froze up.
Yep, I think they dropped off on us.
They did. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get rid of Sideways Mike there. We'll come back to Sideways Andrew. There we go. Now we're back to normal size Andrew. So something I wanted to show a couple people tonight. Actually, let me make that larger again. Is after I don't know, probably a little bit over a year of owning a 3D printer in the box, I finally decided to put it together. It's amazing what having free time when you catch COVID will let you do. I got tired of laying on the couch and I said, maybe it's time to put together that printer I've had for a year. But I was actually able to 3D print a couple of neat things. Let's see here. I got the parts laying here, but the pictures are a lot sharper than what I can hold up in front of the camera. So let me do it that way. And actually, I want to give a mention to Dan Gilchrist, who is Manimal on Thingiverse, he actually has a lot of items that he's designed for G-Scale that you can download the files, and if you have a printer or have someone that has a printer, you can print these items off. But what I have here is actually a KD body mount adapter that he made for the USA. It'd be the wide vision caboose and the bay window because they share the same underframe. And I got a picture here of the underside of the bay window I have here. And I'm sure you're familiar with this, Sean. You were a big USA Trains guy.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to body mount KDs on here, from the factory, at least on these two models of cabooses, USA didn't really give you any provision to put the couplers on there. On the center cupola they made, it actually does have the provisions for that. And I've seen various people, come up with ways to body mount couplers on here. But as you saw in the prior picture, these little adapters, they actually, you can see in this picture the, let's see if I get my pointer on there. You can see the two screws, one there and here. You actually just reuse those. Well, you reuse the holes. You have to actually put longer screws in there. But you take those two screws out, and that adapter piece actually sets right down over top of that, the way that he designed that. Now, you do have to put some longer screws back in there. Now, if you've been in G-Scale for any amount of time, you probably have all kinds of extra packets of screws and stuff that came with different stuff. Or if you're like me, when Sean got out of G-Scale, you bought this big shoebox of extra parts he had, and you have all kinds of stuff in there. But I was able to find some screws that were the same diameter, a little bit longer to use. But that just drops on there, and you put the longer screws in there. And it uses the 907 KD. And the way Dan did it to get the height right, the box is actually upside down. And you can see the little white piece underneath the screw. That's the little, Dan has it marked as a washer that was in the first picture. That's just basically to drop in there to fill that void so you get a nice flat surface to tighten it down. But it actually, it did a nice job of being able to body mount. And I got a picture of it the other way around. You can see I got it up against the KD height gauge there. And it came out pretty darn close to where it needed to be as far as height-wise. So I thought it was, it was something really simple to print. I mean, it was the first thing I printed. They tell you they give you some sample files to print. I thought, why do I want to 3D print a pig? I'll make something I can use. So I dropped that on there and printed it. And I don't know, I think it took maybe 3 hours or so to print it out, but there's a lot of things that you can do with the 3D printers. And I want to say, I think it's Micro Center, if there's one near anybody. I think they have it's the Creality Ender 3 Pro is what I have. And you can pick them up for, I think, like $150 or $200. It's really not a super expensive thing to get. And, you really really don't even have to know how to design stuff. There's actually a ton of stuff that you can download. But what I wanted to do, since I thought it was a fairly kind of neat thing to do, and I know there's probably plenty of people out there that have the USA Bay window or the extended vision, is I'd like to do a giveaway tonight. I have a set of these with the washers, an extra set I printed out, and I'd like to do a giveaway. I'll put it up there, and I will I'll mail a set of these adapters off to someone that would like them to body mount 907 KDs on their caboose.
So I got a question for you.
Sure, go for it. I know
So-
you're gonna beat me up on something, but go for it.
So on your printer, how would you print like a miniature form of Dakman if somebody wanted a miniature form of Dakman on their layout?
Well, I guess we'd have to get a 3D scan of you first. The printer that I have is a basically kind of an extrusion based kind of printer. You're not going to get super fine detail out of it. So like something like you're talking like, and there are places that you can get 3D prints done of actual people. That's going to be more of a resin based printer because you're going to get that better detail out of it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there actually are services out there where you can send them a picture or whatever, and they'll actually make figures of people. But if I remember correctly, isn't there a club that already has a Dakman figure on their layout working on trucks or something?
Oh yeah, there is. The Raritan Valley High Railers actually made a figure, a Dakman figure that works on trucks for their new garage, for their new module they're putting in for the upcoming train show.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I thought I had seen something about that. Let's see here. So what hashtag do I want to do to give these away?
Caboose?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do hashtag caboose. How about that? Let's see. Don't start entering it in yet. I got to set this up or it's not going to take what you enter in. So let's see here. And I'll let that run for a little bit because I got something else I wanted to show too. Let's see.
And these adapters work on a bay window or extended vision?
Yeah, they will work. Why did it do that? I didn't check scroll. There we go. Yeah, so I actually have them sitting here in front of me.
All right, everybody, if you want to enter the contest to see if you can grab those adapters.
No, Kyle, no hashtag Nico robbed.
So if you want to enter to grab those adapters, it's hashtag caboose you want to enter. There you go.
Yeah.
Doug is the first one to enter.
I see
Follow
Dominic
him.
says, wow, it's a Conrail. I know, imagine that, right? So yeah, I'll show you here. The one that I have the adapters on is this Pensy. This is a bay window. You can see I've got those on there now. And this is the extended vision. It'll also work on these as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And like I said, it's the same exact thing with the platforms on the end. I said you just got the screw there and down here that comes out. And as far as the tang on the truck, I just used a pair of side cutters and clipped it off up in here. Some people use a Dremel and cut it off or whatever. I just took a pair of side cutters and clipped it off and called it a day. But as you can see on that one, I get it to the right end. I have the truck mount KDs on there. And of course, one of the issues you run into as your track moves around, and especially since it hangs out farther on the caboose, is you can see that your coupler height tends to kind of bounce around, and that you don't have that issue with the body mount. So
I'm gonna have to check the road number out on that caboose. I always thought that Conrail caboose is the extended vision ones start off with the road number of 22.
I could not answer that one for you, Sean.
Yeah, I'll have to research that.
All I know is I've got a center cupola that you said I can't run unless it's on a slow order train because it's got an R on it.
Yeah.
So I got to watch when I make my videos now. Yeah, I got to watch old eagle-eyed Dakman's watching me. But I'll let that run for the giveaway there for a moment. And let's see, where did it go? Something else I started working on that Manimal also has, and I'll bring up the page for Thingiverse for his stuff here in a moment. But something else I downloaded and I'm playing with right now is he has a body mount adapter, or not so much body mount adapter, but an adapter to put KDs onto the aristo-craft RS3. Now, what you're seeing here is right after it came off the printer. The left and the right's the top and the bottom, and to the right is the two pieces assembled for the adapter that he has. And once again, I think it took a few hours or so to print it out. I mean, you can, on the 3D printers, the time can vary depending on what like layer height you set it for, what the infill is. I'm still learning on the 3D printing stuff, but I mean, it's kind of a real kind of basic kind of thing, but it actually does a very nice job. And if you look at this next picture here, you'll see that as far as on the caboose, you saw you actually use the whole 907 box. For this, you actually don't use any of the box from the coupler. He's actually incorporated it right into the print. You just basically drop the 907 coupler and your two centering springs into it, and you close it up. Now, an important thing to mention, if anybody would decide to print one of these on their own, is you don't cut off the original mounting post on the RS3, because if you cut it off, you're in trouble, because you need that to mount this. So you really don't have to make any modifications to the existing mount when you use these. But let's see here. I got a picture. You can see it fully assembled with the coupler in it. And that's pretty much what it is right there. Now, I have a couple pics where I put it on the RS3. And I actually have the RS3 sitting here as well. We can take a look at that in a second. But I think it does a really nice job of adding an extra detail to the locomotive that it didn't have. Otherwise, you kind of have a large open pilot. And when I show you his not his website, but the Thingiverse site that has it on there, he's actually got a prototype picture of how he came up with that. But
now, what does it do for the swing on a curve? Like, can this still negotiate like a 5-foot curve for that in there?
No. I'm trying to think, because the RS3, I'm trying to think when Aristo made them.
They were.
What did they advertise? Was it 5 foot?
Yeah.
And if I let me drop this down for a second here, I'll bring up the actual loco. One thing you got to look at now, here's our factory end with the Aristo coupler on there.
Because that's why they had them big long slots.
Yeah, it hung way out, and of course that coupler can pull, way over, as you can see. I mean,
right.
Well beyond what it actually should. But that's how you were able to do 5 foot curves with it. I mean, it really kind of hung out there. So yeah, keep in mind if you do this that you're probably limiting yourself to 8 foot, I would say minimum with this.
That's what Cody is saying too.
Oh yeah, I see him in the chat there. Yeah, 8 foot with that setup. So I've actually painted the 3D print to kind of more closely match up, but you can see it gives you a lot more finished kind of look. If I turn it sideways, since Sean was asking as far as coupler swing, I mean, there's still a good bit of range in there, but yeah, you're definitely not going to run on 5 foot diameter curves with that, But if you're looking for something to kind of add something extra and mount your KDs up nice, you know, I think that's a pretty nice upgrade from, you know, the way it comes factory, if I get it up there in the right way. But yeah, that is always something to keep in mind when you're thinking about switching to KD couplers, especially if it's body mount, is what diameter curves that you think you're going to be running on.
Right.
You know, but I'm still kind of fiddling with this a little bit because, as I said before, you have to. There's various settings, and I didn't follow Dan's recommendation when I printed the first set because he actually has it listed right on the page. It says I think to use like 40% infill on the printer, and I was using the basic settings on the printer, which did 10%. Now this is painted already, but you can see the white dot there. What happened is it wasn't quite strong enough, in the post that the coupler goes on snapped off on me. So I had to reprint it with a little bit more sturdy. If you think about infill, just kind of think of like the density of the plastic, Sean. Like, you know, as far as whether you got, you know, more air pockets or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so I went a little bit thin on it, and yeah, it broke on that one. So I had to play around. I'm still working on it, but I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Let's see. I was going to show. I'll just show an up close picture here of the way that looked after it was. I know I showed it in front of the camera, but the pictures a lot of times are a little bit better resolution than me holding in front of the camera. So I think it came out pretty nice.
What did you use to match up the paint? It came out pretty close.
Well, coincidentally, I have a. Of course, I don't have it sitting out. I have a 2-bay Aristo covered hopper that our friend Kyle Kuiper did up for me for Procore, and the color paint that he used, I had to buy some more of it to touch up in one spot. And it just so happened that the green he used on that is pretty darn close to the green that Aristo used on the on the Redding RS3. And
Oh.
I don't think I got a picture of that because I actually went a little bit further, not to get too far away from that, but Aristo on a lot of their, like the U25 RS3, the FAs, the smoke units, okay, typically they're just black plastic. Aristo never painted them, and that's what this was. It was all just, you know, shiny black plastic. I use that same paint to paint that to kind of match it up a little bit better, because that shiny black plastic, it just always like draws your eyes right to it. So yeah, it was fairly close. It just kind of so happened that the paint I had sitting around was close enough to the right color.
Kyle said it's camo.
Yeah, I had to. Where the heck did I have to go? Kyle gave me the model of the paint, and I think it was like Advanced Auto Parts was the only place I could find it at. Yeah, like I said, sometimes in life things just work out, I guess. Yeah, and thank you, Dominic. Yeah, I thought it came out pretty good. I mean, I can tweak with it a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out overall. I did want to let's see here. I wanted to show the Thingiverse site with Dan, Mr. Manimal, his a lot of his stuff that he has on there. So this is Dan Gilchrist, or Manimal as he goes by. Hey, I know. There's Dan Gilchrist now. He says, now I need to fix the headlight. We'll have to talk more about that, Dan, because I think I know what you're talking about. I think it's like rotated 90 degrees the wrong way, maybe, but I think maybe that's what you're talking about. Let's see here. Oh, I see Happy Valley Hobbies popped on in. Hello, thanks for stopping in. Hey, I'm not keeping you up too late, am I, Sean?
No.
Okay. Just checking. Oh, I see Dominic says, wow, Sean, instead of falling asleep, get some pointers from Andrew. Yeah, there's a new one. Sean getting pointers from me.
Well, I did have a nap today.
And I think I was right on what Dan was saying about fixing the headlight. And the only reason I noticed it, not that I want to keep flipping around on the cameras here, but if you look on this end of the RS3, you can see the two bulbs are sideways. And you look at how they did it on the other end, and they got them up and down. And I don't think they intentionally did that. I kind of have a feeling when they were originally making this and setting up the molds, something got flip-flopped on it. But I see Joseph Lipinski says Manimal's replacement bell for the NW2 is great. Yeah, I want to print that out because the NW2 bell is from factory seems like it's rather large to me. But just to kind of scroll down here and give you an idea. Now, keep in mind, all this stuff that he has on here, you can freely download the files for printing these. And like I said, either you got to have a printer or know someone that has one. And before anybody asks, no, I'm not going into business 3D printing stuff. So please don't start blowing me up saying, Andrew, please print all this stuff for me. I'm only one man. But 3D printers are getting fairly cheap anymore.
Well, I don't think they could wait that long anyway. It took you a year just to get out of the box.
This is true. This is true. You make a very good point. I see Happy Valley Hobby says, I used to model the D&H that had RS2 and RS3 with a single headlight. I think I have seen that before. But yeah, so like I said, Dan has a lot of stuff on here. I mean, I like the aristo-craft tank cars. I've seen several people in the past that hatch for the top gets lost. If you're missing any of those, he's got files on there to print those. Of course, for the RS3, he's got the replacement. The heck is that called? The crossover plank on the end. He's got parts for the streamliner trucks. And if you go to thingiverse.com and just search for Manimal, all of his stuff will pull up. One of the things I thought that was kind of neat that he has on here is this fuel tank that's for the GP7, GP9 that USA makes. I think the way USA did it was the GP7 by their way they worked, it had the torpedo tubes on the top, and the GP9 didn't. But actually, they came both ways in the GP7 and the 9. But when the torpedo tanks are on the top, those were actually put up there so that they could fit a larger fuel tank underneath the locomotive. So the way they come from USA with the air tank still down below with them on the top is actually not right. So you can actually 3D print the correct larger full fuel tank to put on there if you're into that level of detail. And I think it's kind of a nice thing to be able to change up. But he's got bulkheads for the LGB flat cars. I think he's got some stuff on here too he's got stuff on here to 3D print a full center beam flat car if you want to make your own. And there's I think he's got 3 pages of stuff on here. He's got replacement if you want to upgrade the type of grills that you have in your SD40-2. He's got the chicken wire kind of radiator grills.
Which brings me up to a question.
Yeah.
Everybody says that the 3D printing part is the easy part, but it's actually the files, creating the files to print from is what's the hard part. So how much time do you think he's got into just doing one of these files?
I'm not sure. That's not something I've asked him. I mean, there's coming from a manufacturing background, since I worked in machine shops and that for years, I didn't really do anything with CAD software, but I did see it quite often, and it came into play with a lot of the CNC files and stuff that I would get. There's a good amount of time that goes into creating, a 3D file to be able to print this stuff. But I mean, the ones that he has up here, I mean, for the most part, it's pretty much you download it, you open up, like the printer I have comes with what they call a slicer program. You load it in there, and it'll set. I mean, you can go with basic settings. You don't even have to go into the fine granular stuff. It'll set it up. You click the button to create the print file for the printer. It'll make a file. You take the memory card out of your computer, you plug it into the printer. You have to level the print head, which sounds like a tedious thing, but it really isn't. I don't want to go into all of that, but it's a pretty simple process. I mean, one of the things that kept making me put off putting this printer together was I got to laugh. John put that he got robbed as a hashtag. But really setting the printer up and loading the files is really not a hard thing to do. Creating the files is where the tedious part of it comes in.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I see Dan commented here as far as how long it takes. He says it's hard to answer. I've gotten much faster. Now, I downloaded some free software for editing and making those files. I looked at it for about 30 minutes and I still haven't made anything. So it might be 2 years before I figure that out. I see wrong question. Asked, does Manimal 22 make a KD conversion mount for the Aristo E8? I did not see that on the site. Not sure if he does or not.
And Brian Brune is asking, he got here late, what's the giveaway?
Yeah, let me show that again here real quick.
And Tom Piper says he's got to go to bed, so he'd like to see the giveaway soon.
Well, maybe I'll just make Kyle keep waiting. It's the wrong thing to tell me. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to keep Kyle waiting. So the giveaway tonight, back too far, is the KD adapter for the USA bay window and extended vision cabooses that Manimal has. As I had shown, I did a set of them for my own caboose, and I found it to be a very nice addition if you'd like to body mount on there. So I printed out an extra set, and the giveaway tonight is a set of those adapters. So just real quick to show people again, the way the caboose comes, you got no provision for body mounting. And then the adapter that I printed out from Manimal 22, you take out those two screws, and like I said, you gotta get a couple of longer screws to put in there, but it just sets right over top of that. And then the KD 907, the box is actually inverted upside down, and that little white plastic washer piece sets in there, so you get a flat surface to mount it on. And here's what it looks like turned over the other way with a nice body mounted KD on there. So like I said, that's what the giveaway is. I figured with a couple things I printed, this is probably the one that's most likely that, just about everybody's probably going to have several cabooses, and they may very likely have like I said, the bay window that you see in the picture that USA makes. And then that same kit will also work if you have one of the USA extended vision cabooses.
All right.
So since we don't want to keep Kyle waiting any longer, I guess we should probably.
He's going chop, chop, Andrew.
Yeah, I see him. I don't know. Let me look at my my Facebook Messenger, see if he's messaging me. Well, I don't see any messages from him yet. Just from Nico telling me he's sorry he missed the show tonight. Well, I guess Nico's getting robbed again, huh? So let me drop that out of there, and we'll put the giveaway screen up here. Let's see. Put it up here so everybody can see. And actually, before I do that, I should probably make sure I note in the chat here that we're stopping so that nobody enters. So let me take down the banner that's running there. So we'll give it like 30 seconds here before I do it, because I know I've had people tell me that there's a little bit of lag between what we're doing and what's on their end, so that we don't cut anybody off here.
That's a long time to Kyle.
Yeah. I see John's asking me how much for a set of the RS3 coupler mounts. Well, right now I'm not selling anything, John. I might once I get this figured out, I might be gracious enough to go ahead and print you a set, but I'm not going into business printing any of this stuff.
John says you're giving away USA Trains caboose.
No, it's not a USA Trains caboose.
That's what he said.
Yeah, no, he can say that all he wants. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and let's do the draw here and see who comes up the winner. I see Happy Valley Hobby said, yeah, they noticed like a 30-second delay, so that's why I waited. Hey,
Taya.
It looks like Taya's our winner.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Taya, if you obviously you know how to reach me through Facebook Messenger, so if you want to just send me your address through Messenger, or if you'd like to email me at info@largescaletrains, you can. I know I shouldn't have any trouble getting a hold of you to get that to you. So just get me your address and I will send that over to you. And I see Kyle must have fallen asleep on us. A bunch of Z's there.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there's Randall Ellison popping in. Hello, Randall.
Yeah. One thing neat about
like Joseph Lipinski, Taya robbed Nico. Well, you know, I'd have to say if Taya was robbing me, I would probably let her, because she's a super nice person. You know, I just I'd be like, sure, here, just take everything.
And she's the one who's actually into the trains. She actually does the trains. It's like the roles are usually, like the with couples, it's always the guy who has the trains and their wife either the gardening or is not interested at all. With her, it's like opposite. Like she actually enjoys having a garden railroad and running the train, and the husband has really no interest in it.
Well, I don't know if he doesn't have any interest, or if she told him that that's her thing. You find something else to do. But I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Taya very highly enjoys the G scale hobby. She's always a joy to talk to. What was I showing before here? Oh, we were talking about Manimal's website. Not website. Good grief, the Thingiverse site. I just wanted to scroll through there real quick and just show people some of the other stuff that's on there. I got to get back to the right page. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew's going to go away at LGB Astor Hudson.
Well, I mean, the name is Crazy Train 525. I guess you'd have to be crazy to think I'm giving that away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not calling you Crazy Train. But Taya, she says funny. Bank Roger is a golfer. I think that's what the other club members refer to him as Bank Roger.
Yeah.
I met Roger briefly at one of the shows. He seems like a very nice guy. He seems like he treats Taya very well. John says, if I win, I'll take an RS3 instead of a wide vision. I think John missed the drawing.
Yeah.
Either that or he's on like a 2-minute delay. But just real quick, I wanted to scroll through here and just because I want to give Dan, Manimal 22 some credit because he has a lot of stuff that he put time into designing and 3D printing, and he just put it up here for you to download and print. There it is. He's got the I believe this is the replacement headlight. Yep, that's that's for the MU stand at the end. Okay. But he's got a lot of things on here. He's got a hummingbird replacement piece. I didn't see that before, but he's got the fans for the SD45s. Looks like he's got a KD mounting kit for the U25. Now, keep in mind some of this stuff, like these air horns that he has here. Some of this is stuff that you're going to want to do with a resin printer because you're going to get finer detail out of it. But he has a lot of stuff on here. Here's the caboose adapter kit. And actually, this is what I wanted to show here. This is the RS3 that I did. And you can see he's got the prototype picture in the back that he modeled that off of. One thing I noticed when I did mine is at the top of it, I got a little bit of a gap there. And I think that has to do with the way Aristo's pilot is actually a little bit different from how this one was done. But I mean, I still think it makes a very nice addition to the locomotive. And he's actually, when I was saying about don't cut the post off, he's actually got a breakdown view here of it. This post will actually bottom out in this pocket where you see the hole there. So don't clip that post off the RS3, because if you do, you're not going to have anything to attach that to. But I found it to be a fairly simple thing to print, and I think it adds a very nice feature to the RS3, my opinion at least. Crazy Train says he's printed a few of those things myself. Very nice. I see Brian Brunn says that reminds me, I need to upload a bunch of models to Thingiverse yet. Do you have a page on Thingiverse, Brian? I know you probably can't drop actual web links in the chat, but if you got a name that you go by on Thingiverse, if you want to drop that in there, I'd love to take a look at the stuff you have up there, or when you do upload, to see what you have to print. I have no idea what John's talking about. A triplex. Oh, he must be talking about MTH.
Yeah.
That's the same page, I think. 2, 3.
He says his page is empty yet.
My page is empty. All right. Well, I'd be curious to see, Brian, once you do upload, what stuff you have to put on your page. Because and when you do upload, I'll just say thank you in advance, because it takes time to design this stuff, and it's nice that people make a lot of this stuff available for free. You can see if you see here, Sean, Dan even has the flared radiators to make the USA SD70 into an ace. You can print that off of there.
Yeah, USA Trains were supposed to do that on their own, but they never did.
Oh, they never did that. Okay.
No.
It looks like he's got. Hey, there's something for you, Sean. He's got a. It's a Weaver GP38-2 fuel tank. Weaver's O gauge, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a couple other things on there. And actually, talking about the Aristo hopper that I have that Kyle did for Procore for me, mine is unmodified on the top, but Kyle did his, and I think one of our friends he redid. Dan actually has this on here you can 3D print, and it's a replacement roof block. And he's actually got the round hatches on here to actually modernize the Aristo hopper. And I think he's got, I think the files include, I think the brake wheel on the end is actually replaced as well. It's included in that. The website, Taya. Here, I'll drop it in the chat, in the live chat here. It's just the Thingiverse. If you go to thingiverse.com and search Manimal, you'll find it. But I put the link in there. It's thingiverse.com/manimal/designs. And I think I actually ended up back on the first page. But as you can see, he's got quite a bit of different stuff. My friend Michael actually started building tank cars off of this one that Dan has on here. And the only things that you really need to buy is obviously your trucks, your couplers. The body of the tank car is actually made out of PVC pipe. I think he's got it set up to use 3-inch and 4-inch, depending on the files you download. And of course, you got to buy the wire to make your grab rails. I want to actually try making one of these. I haven't got to that point yet. But from what Michael was telling me, there's even a file in there you print out that actually makes the jig so you can bend the wire grab rails for this. You actually print it out and you run a couple screws in it, and then you can bend your wires right around it to make your grab rails. But pretty much, other than trucks, couplers, and the PVC for the body of it, actually, you can see a picture there that he has on here. There's, I think that's the 3-inch and the 4 inches to the left. It was a really, really simple project, and I kind of got a feeling Michael's going to go crazy and do a bunch more, because I think I saw him hauling home a couple 10-foot pieces of 4-inch PVC pipe. But you know, if you want to make yourself a fleet of tank cars, and here's what I was talking about. There's the little jig that he prints out, and you run the screws into it, and then you can bend your wire grab rails and stuff that go on there. So there's a lot of things you can do with 3D printing. It just depends on how far you want to go. I know this is going to drop me back to the first page again when I go back, isn't it? If it goes back at all. Slow website tonight.
Yeah.
That's the deal here. There we go. And actually, I'll let me highlight the website there for people so it's on the screen. Let's see, we were already on page 3. I don't want to drag on this for too long. But you can see he's got, hey, here you go, Sean. MTH tank car 2-rail conversion adapter. You can get rid of that third rail. I know. It's I'm just teasing you. He's got placement roof locks for the Aristo box cars.
Oh.
And he's got a few other things on here too. Looks like he's got a multimeter wall holster. There's the someone was saying earlier about no, that's spark arresters for the USA Train NW2. I didn't see I thought there was a file for a bell on here. I might have missed it. But yeah, he's got like 4 pages of stuff on here that you know, you can print, and there's other G scale stuff out there that you can download and print. This is just the stuff that Dan has on his page. Although I will say I think it's probably the larger collection of G scale stuff I've found on here so far. Oh, Joseph Lipinski says I passed the bell. All right, spark arrestor. No.
Said
No.
previous page.
All right, let's see here. I must have flown right past it. That's roof mount air. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Roof mount. Ah, there it is. Well, I might have to print me one of those now. Yeah, I like that a lot better. I got my NW2 in here. I do not. But the factory one seems like it like sticks way up there. I like that. That's a lot more low profile. Might have to print one of those and see how that comes out. Doug says, just don't wait a year to use the new printer. No, I've used it several times, although I have found that when you want to print finer detail, it takes longer to print. So what I've been doing, if I made a bunch of the adapters because I have several of these USA cabooses and it was going to take a while. I just set the printer up before I went to bed and let it go and run all night. I got up in the morning and I had a tray of finished parts. Well, I highly encourage you, John, to get your own printer. I might be persuaded to print a set for you, but it might take a couple of years. But yeah, that was kind of my spiel, I guess, for 3D printing. In all honesty, I really kind of kicked myself for letting the dang thing sit in the box for the past year. But I actually, my friend Michael, I actually do want to give him credit for me putting the thing together, because when I was laying on the couch with COVID a week ago, he kept posting pictures of his tank car he was building, and he had bought the same exact printer that I had that's sitting in the box. And the more I kept looking at his pictures and I was messaging with him some, I'm like, I got to put this thing together. Like he's like building tank cars and stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm missing out on something here. Like, let's put this thing together. And in all honesty, to put the printer together, there's several YouTube videos that actually do a very nice walkthrough on more than the basic instructions that come with the printer, that actually walk you through some of the couple like little issues of things you might need to adjust or stuff. It actually wasn't bad at all. Brian says, if you do buy a printer, don't start with the smallest resin printer. It's too small to be useful for G scale. I have heard several people say that, that the very smallest size resin printers that they have out there, that you can probably do things like, the NW2 Bell and small stuff like that, but you're not going to be able to print very large things. But let's see here. I just wanted to take a look and see if there was anything that I was glazing over that we were supposed to mention tonight. We went over all the maintenance stuff and all of that. I see Brian says, the tank car kit has inspired me to attempt a sugar tank car. A sugar tank car. You ever heard of a sugar tank car, Sean?
Yeah, like a domino car, but they've all switched over to corn syrup instead of transporting the sugar now.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of corn syrup tank cars you see out there now. ADM has them, Cargill, Corn Products. There's a bunch of corn syrup cars out there.
And I see that's what Manimal just said, corn syrup. Oop, clicked off of it. Yeah. And I see Brian said on the 3D resin printer, he says his is just large enough to print a cab without a nose or number boards. So, yeah, I guess that kind of gives you an idea of how the smallest size resin printer they have, what you can do with it. So, yeah, you probably need to go to the next size up. I may get a resin printer eventually, but that's a little bit more involved because you're dealing with the liquid resin and all that stuff. I believe you got to cure the resin after you print it and everything. But, well, does anybody have any questions other than John wanting to know if I'll print him some RS3KD adapters from tonight's show? Do you have any questions, Sean?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually good.
I wasn't sure if you were going to have all kinds of weird questions for me about the 3D printer that I couldn't answer or not. I see Brian says corn syrup equals sugar. He used to work for a corn syrup plant. Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I don't think we had anything else to cover tonight. I think we went over everything. Oh, you're very welcome, Taya. Yeah, I'm glad I'm feeling better too. Last week was not a fun week, at least the first 4 days of it. But thankfully, my wife never caught it from me, so that's a pretty good feat when you consider, I have a 1-story slab home and there's only one bathroom, so our paths kind of have to cross. So must have done pretty good of trying to keep my distance. So that was my main concern. Thank you, Canadian Railroads. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And just a teaser for people. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but I am talking to Canadian Railroads about coming on and doing the show with us. He's done a lot of interesting scratch building and stuff. And I'd love to have him on the show to share some of that stuff with everybody. So I can't tell you if it's the next show or the one after that we're going to have him on, but I am talking to him about coming on the shows. So just to kind of give people a little bit of a sneak peek of what we got coming up, I guess. I said, we're going to have a show in 2 weeks. I just don't have any specific info for you on it at the second. So, but I won't ramble on anymore. Sean and I thank everybody for tuning in with us tonight and watching the show. It's always a good time for us. We hope that everybody else had a good time. And we'll see everybody again in a couple of weeks here. So,
All righty.
good night, everybody.
Good night.